Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. It is Quick Tip Tuesday, and today we're talking about why I never wet sand a finished guitar. I get a lot of people asking me, Brad, how long do you wait before you wet sand your guitar so you can polish it? And well, I don't. I never wet sand a finished guitar. Now this isn't to say that you can't wet sand a finished guitar, I just never do, and there are some specific reasons for that I'm going to explain. And if you decide you want a second opinion and maybe want to know why you should wet sand a finished guitar, feel free to check out all the expert opinions that are likely to pop up in the comment section below. So in order to best explain why I don't wet sand, I'm going to start by telling you why wet sanding is helpful. The idea behind it is it makes it easier to move the paper, it glides better, and the paper doesn't load up as much, so you kind of don't go through as much of it because the dust doesn't stick to it quite as much, it doesn't pill up, it's got that lubricant there. If you learn how to sand a very long time ago, you probably also use a drop of dish soap or something like that. But to wet sand, you need quite a bit of water generally. You would soak your sandpaper in the water, make sure your surface is nice and wet, and then that paper glides nice and easily. Now let's take a look at the other side of the coin here, so to speak. The issue with wet sanding, or putting water on your guitar at all, another kind of a reason why I'm a bit leery of swirl finishes, is that when water gets into wood, it can cause it to expand. Now most of those swirl jobs are done with enamels, and enamels don't really have as much of an issue, but for example, if you're painting a guitar with lacquer and it expands and you get humidity under your paint, it's probably going to crack. So you hear a lot of horror stories of guys who go in and put this beautiful finish on their guitar and then they go to wet sand it so that they can polish it, and they get cracks emanating from out where the pickup cavities are, or the bridge post holes, or the tuning pegs, anywhere where the water is going to be able to get through under the finish into the wood and cause that expansion. So how do we balance these things? Well, it used to be that wet sanding was kind of the only way to get a beautiful finish. It was almost impossible to dry sand because the sanding paper technology just wasn't there. So you needed to wet sand with these high grit papers in order to get that beautifully smooth finish to be able to polish it up properly. So the only real option was to just be really careful and try not to get water in your stuff. Now wet sanding is great for cars and stuff because it does make things a little bit easier, and it'll save you a little bit of paper because the paper doesn't jam up quite as easily. But now you get these no-load papers, you can sand up to 5,000 grit or higher with micro mesh and stuff like that, completely dry, perfectly smooth, and get the exact same finish. So unless you're really worried about saving a couple dollars on paper in the long run, why wet sand? Now in all likelihood there are going to be some people who say, I do a lot of guitars and in the long run it saves me a lot of money to wet sand. Fair enough. If that's how you roll, that's what you like, so be it. Maybe you've never had a problem. I wonder myself how many cracked finishes it's going to take to make that not worth your while anymore. I think for me it would only be one. But whatever works for you, these are the reasons why I don't wet sand. I won't wet sand a guitar with a finish on it, and there's no reason for me to do it. So guys, I hope that cleared things up when you go to ask me how long do you leave this paint dry before you wet sand to polish it. I don't, and that's really about it. So as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or questions about this, and I'm sure some of you do, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see how this guy finished up. And yeah, that's about it. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.